Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to take a look at RPE versus percentage-based training. We're going to go through the pros and cons of each, how you can utilize those, and at the end we'll kind of make a call as far as what's best for who. Alright, so first up I want to take a look at percentage-based training. I would say this is the more old school approach to setting up a training program. It fits with linear periodization very well because essentially you're taking a percentage of your 1 rep max, and so multiplying this percentage times your 1 rep max to give you a number to put on the bar. It's very important when we're comparing these two tools, right? Because that's what they are. RPE and the use of percentages are tools, right? You are trying to pick the best weight to put on the bar for the right number of reps in order to get stronger. That's all the end goal is. So whether you're using this or RPE or some other tool, the end goal is to put the right number on the bar and get stronger. Now, this tends to be a little more old school because it's math based, right? You just plug the numbers in, it gives you a percentage. That is what you do, and you follow that through weeks and weeks to hopefully progress. So one of the pros here is it is well planned if you do it correctly, right? So you've got your percentages each week. It's going to follow this through. It is rigid, which we're actually going to put in the cons as well. So rigidity is good, especially for a new lifter, because it kind of just tells you, hey, this is what you need to do to get stronger. But at the same time, for a more advanced lifter, if you have too rigid of a program, if you go in and something is off, the margin of error is much smaller for an advanced lifter. It doesn't give any flexibility for the lifter. So, you know, a pro is also going to be a con depending on the context. Okay? We're also going to say this is very quantitative. So it makes it easy for somebody like a coach to look and say, okay, you did 80% for sets of 5. You can analyze these numbers. That's what quant means, right? It's quantities. It is a very analytical approach to doing things. Now, as far as the cons go, we already said it was a bit rigid. It doesn't, and this goes under rigidity, but it doesn't allow for feelings. Isn't that a quote somewhere? Like, facts don't care about your feelings. Well, numbers don't either. And whenever you're using percentages, okay, if you wake up not feeling great, you're stuck at a percentage. And that can lead to issues if there's not flexibility. Now, how you can otherwise utilize this, like if you're just given a 12-week program, these cons can start to jump out because if something goes off, you're having a bad day training, you can't project where your strength is going in 12 weeks, then you're gonna have an issue because it's so linear, there's no adjustments. Whereas, as we'll talk about with RPE-based training, you get that daily adjustment. How you can work around this is if you have a coach or somebody who is adjusting the percentages on a weekly basis, right? So you tell your coach, I'm not feeling great. They give you an adjustment to the percentage, right? That's how we can start to work with this, right? Find ways around it in the gym. Okay, so overall, percentage-based training is simple. It's definitely very good for beginners. It doesn't take any subjectivity, right? So it is objective. And those are all benefits for especially a new lifter. To this idea of training based off of RPEs, and just so that we can, set this up right up front, RPE stands for rating of perceived exertion. So essentially you are going to be rating your reps on a scale of 1 to 10, usually denoted like at 9, right? With an at symbol, etc. This would be an RPE 9. And the closer to 10 usually means that you have less reps in reserve, or at least it was harder. So if I have a squat single at RPE 8, that would mean I should do a weight for 1 that I could do for 3, supposedly. And once again, just like the percentage-based tool, this is just to help you pick what weight needs to go on the bar to progress, because that's our end goal. If we could have some all-knowing robot that was like, this is what weight needs to go on the bar, we would use it and RPE and percentage would go out the window. But we don't have those things, so we have to use kind of these tools. Now, RPE-based training, usually it gets credited back to Mike Tuchscherer of Reactive Training Systems, who really started to use this. I believe he, and Mike, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, I think he got it from whenever he was training at the Air Force Academy, and they used rating of perceived exertion for other exercises. So he applied it to his training, and it's really blown up and caught on. Some of the pros to RPE training is it's very flexible, and you'll notice this is kind of the opposite of percentage-based training as far as it's not rigid, okay? And one of the cons that comes with that is it's subjective. One of the going jokes for a more experienced powerlifter is you see someone hit a very hard single and they're like, oh, that was RPE 7, which should be relatively easy, easier than an opener probably. So it's very up to the lifter on how they feel. And remember, our goal is to pick the right weight on the bar. So if you call a maximal attempt an RPE 7, it doesn't matter because there was too much weight on the bar. And this is why you can see sometimes newer lifters struggle with this, right? So you need some experience, at least. Experience to know, hey, this is what hard should feel like, this is an 8, this is a 9, etc. And that comes with practice, and that's totally fine. Another one of the pros, you can still periodize so adjust your weights as a coach while being flexible. And maybe we'll throw the word in here. It gives some lifter autonomy, right? Because if I'm going in, I have a programmed RPE 8. If I'm not feeling great, I can reel back the number that I would normally hit going through warm-ups. That's real-time adjustments. If I'm feeling great, I can amp it up a little bit. And there's this athlete-coach trust relationship that the coach is putting this responsibility on the athlete to actually hit the RPE. Whereas a percentage-based training, it's great, it's objective. The coach is taking all of the power and they're saying, here, I am giving you this number, you are going to do this number, we'll analyze it, and then I'll give you the number next week, right? So in an RPE-based system, the athlete has a little more of the power, a little bit more say-so. And I'm gonna say, generally less coach input is a con because obviously your coach isn't going to be there with you training all the time, okay? So those are the pros and cons of RPE-based training. We went through percentage-based. Let's go ahead and wrap it up and we'll make a decision, what should we use? But my final thoughts, okay? Both RPE and percentage-based training are tools that are meant to lead you towards choosing the right number to be on the bar. With that said, there is a time and a place to use both of these tools depending on if you're a beginner or a more advanced lifter. Of course, I use mostly percentage-based training as a very advanced lifter. But just like as a beginner, you could use RPE if you were properly coached on how to use it. So there's exceptions to the rule. Generally speaking, you're going to need some sort of balance between your own autonomy as an athlete and your coach's input. Whether that's through percentage-based training, or that's through your coach giving you an RPE, or a little bit of both, that's going to be up to you and how you develop as an athlete. But don't get caught up in what the latest fad is. Both of these can be effective as long as you are using them to put the right amount of weight on the bar. Okay, so that's my input on RPE versus percentage-based training. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Check out my other videos. And until next time, happy lifting.